Let's have a talk. You do know that March is the second hardest month in a school year for college students. Did you know that? October's the hardest. Close second is March. And so it's time for a big brother / fatherly pep talk. You ready? Okay. Here's my point. Don't live parenthetically. What do parentheses do to a clause in a sentence? What do they say about the clause? It's of secondary importance. It's unessential. You can pull a parenthetical thought out of a sentence still gets a job done, right? So a parenthesis says this is secondary. This is just a qualifying statement. It's not essential to the point. And we tend to live parenthetically, bracketing off sections of our lives around parentheses. And this is typically how it goes. You start the school year in August, full of adrenaline, because you're an adrenaline culture. Generation you are. I mean, you have soda that's extreme. Right? Who thought that up? Yeah, they'll like our soda when we call it extreme, and it works. Yeah, that's what I drink. I drink extreme soda. Anyway, so when you're that kind of culture, wow, you come in August, here we go. 3 weeks later, your bad habits have caught up with you. And your adrenaline's running out. And so, what do you start thinking? Oh, Lord, just get me to Tory conference. I'll sleep for a day and a half, I'll get all caught up, life will begin. You're back from Tory conference, you're not as rested as you thought, you haven't caught up barely at all, and you start saying, get me to Thanksgiving, please, Lord. Get back from Thanksgiving, and you start saying, Christmas, gotta get to Christmas, and then life will begin. I'll be everything I'm intended to be. You get home for Christmas, you start saying, my parents are driving me crazy. Lord, get me back to Biola! And I still think I'm 14. Every time I go home, I start acting like it again. I want to get back to Biola where everybody knows how mature I am. Get back to Biola, and within 2 weeks, you're saying, get me to missions conference, because I'll get some rest, and I'll get caught up, and I'll from under all these burdens. And then you get back from missions conference, and I know you're already, oh, spring break is right around the corner, baby. Here we go. Back from spring break, and it's summertime. Summer, here it comes. Here we get, let's get to summer. And then you get to camp over the summer, and the campers are driving you insane, and you say, get me back to Biola so I can get some rest. And you know what else happens? You break all those down into parentheses. And on the way to spring break, it's this paper that's due. And this assignment, gotta go to chapel, have to go to class, have to meet with my cohort group, have to do all this stuff. And now I've got these little parentheses all in the way to the bigger the parentheses, and then you put the whole thing behind the parentheses of graduation. Oh, once I graduate, then life's gonna begin, but it doesn't end there, guys. Now it's, once I get that home in Vail, Colorado, or that perfect spouse, or dream job, or 2.3 kids. That third of a kid looks weird, but that's the average, right? You know, is it this third? Is it this? I don't know. But, and before you know it, you know what's happened. Tell me what happens in your heart if you do that. What's going on in your heart when you're living between parentheses all the time? What's that? You burn out. What else? You're discontent, aren't you? What else? Bitter, cynical, ungrateful. And then you're 80. And you look back, and it was just one parenthesis after another. And you never really lived. You never really truly engaged, or as Jim Elliot prayed when he was a college student, he said, wherever you are, be all there. He asked God to help him be present wherever he was. Not always waiting for the next alleviation of the responsibility for life to really begin, because it never ends. Then it's going to be as soon as my health is what it's supposed to be, or this marriage that's hard is what it's supposed to be, or as soon as my mom stops struggling with Alzheimer's. And guys, it never starts then. And you live your life so ungrateful. I mean, just think about using have to language around here all the time. I don't let myself do it. I don't let myself use have to language or, oh, I just can't wait language. You can wait. You have no choice. You can wait, and you will wait. And so let's stop, oh, I can't wait, and I have to, all this stuff. Think about using all that have to language about a privilege like learning. You have to go to class, really? You have to go to chapel? You have to read a book? You have to go to your cohort group? You have to write a paper? Oh, poor Boopsie. Please, if you're using have to language for education that you actually, let me remind you, pay lots of money to get to do, how do we start using have to language all the time? You have to go to your job? When 12% of California doesn't have one, stop using have to language. Start using what language? Get to. I get to go to class. I get to go to chapel. I get to write a paper. I get to just have the luxury of 3 hours to read. Most people in the world are just getting food on the table, and they can't do that. And we're using have to language all the time. Guys, learning is not have to. Learning is get to. Chemotherapy is have to. So my question to you is, if you start using have to language for get tos, how are you going to handle have tos? If education's a burden just to be endured, well, then what's chemotherapy? Do you even have a category for that? And so it's a battle. It's a daily battle. And what we tend to do is realize, oh, I haven't had good habits. I haven't been living in a way that is actually going to enable me to be grateful and to be engaged. And so let's regroup here and fight that battle and not get sucked into ingratitude and parenthetical living all the time. Refuse to use have to language. Like, I don't know if there's been a morning of my life I wanted to jump out of bed. I think I've told you that. I love to sleep. And so most mornings, my temptation is to say, and I got a lot going on, you know, stuff at the church, marriages and crisis and cancer and one more time and a kid running away from home and the stuff at Biola institutionally, personally in your lives, and my life is trying to be a good prop. So what does it mean for me to wake up in the morning and have a temptation almost every morning to say, the first words out of my mouth, oh Lord, would you just get me through this day? Would you please speed up the 15 hours till I'm back here again? And I don't let myself go there. I make myself say, oh Lord, thank you for this day. I really do try to make those the first words I say every day. Thank you for this day, Lord, a gift from your hand to be stewarded for your glory and the good of others today. Help me to do that in the power of the Spirit. So I want to begin every day. What a difference between, oh Lord, thank you for this day, and oh Lord, get me through this day. So please decide to fight that battle. Decide to say no to ingratitude and complaining and whining and cynicism and disengagement and coasting. Please don't coast. Would you think about what we're going to talk about in here, just in here the rest of the semester? What a human being is. What sin is and who Jesus is. You want to coast through that? I grieve for your soul if you want to coast through that. I really do. And so please, decide to bring it. Decide to be engaged, be all there. Pray that God will help you fight that and win that battle. And it's a battle, know it going in. For me, half the battle's knowing it's a battle. Once I know that, I'm like, all right, here we go. And so just know it's a battle going in.